good at getting people in the door in the West, and that's even changing. So how do we then create this relational soil how do we recapture this in these larger churches? Or is it we just have to create new places? It's the whole new wineskin, old wineskin idea.
Well, we're kind of at the head of the front edge of the wave on this thing of the tech. It's kind of a new, and I can't say God told me this, but since that there's almost a new reformation coming to the church, but it's a relational reformation.
Ooh.
Where the church again returns to its roots, where love is the center of everything we do, and everything else we do a bunch of other things other than just love, but everything is saturated by love, and love is always the center of everything we do. We never do anything in our churches that would decrease or separate or diffuse our love. Love is always the center, but we go and do all sorts of stuff that God calls us to do, while always making sure we're centrally and fundamentally shining the light of Jesus's love in whatever we do. What that means, though, is we need to teach people how to do this. The problem is most churches have been preaching regular sermons that we're supposed to love each other, we're supposed to love God, even that we're supposed to love our enemies. But I have never been taught until the last 5 years, I'd never met anyone who said, we need to train ourselves to love our enemies. So they never said how. And it's almost cruel. It's like if I'd take my 9-year-old daughter out into the garage and say, hey, that car has a bad carburetor. Here's all my tools. Go fix that carburetor and don't come back in until it's done. That's kind of what we're doing to our people. We're saying, you need to love your enemies. Okay, let's close in prayer and have another the song, and then you go home. And nobody was ever told, and not just trained how, but actually given a chance to practice. Okay, for the next 14 weeks, I was in a training with 25 people in my basement, where for 14 weeks we trained through hypothetical situations to love our enemies.
So is this then going back to another thing that you guys talk about in the book, this idea of mirror neurons? Mm-hmm. You have to have it displayed and modeled in front of you before you can actually grasp what it is, right? Is that what we're talking about here? Is in order we can't just tell people what to do. We have to show them what to do.
Yeah, especially in behavior and character and maturity, that we need to be shown. Doctrine, we don't need to be necessarily shown, we need to be explained. That's a left brain thing, and that's very important, but we don't need always the example on doctrine. For character, how to love someone well in this complicated circumstance, and this other complicated, we actually need an example. We need a more mature man or a more mature woman who shows us how to do it, or can tell us stories of how they stayed connected to Jesus and kept loving even when their child did this crazy thing, or whatever the situation happens to be.
So this is the Paul saying, follow me as I follow Christ.
Exactly. Look at me. Look at my life. Look at my doctrine too. And he said, he tells Timothy, pay close attention to your life and your doctrine. You do both. We're not saying jettison doctrine, but we've done the doctrine thing pretty well. We haven't done the love thing. We haven't taught our people how to love like Jesus.